we have Velalocus. Where's Diurna? Is there? Velalocus, Fetera, Aricia, Portus, Palus Portus, Chris Ridalis. Okay, and Monsbellon is up there. Vetera. Yep, no, it's there. Mauritius Mesm. Arbea. Acri Opidium. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 4, 6, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Everything is fine. Okay, now I have, let's check from A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, Velalocus is an A, of course. I would say Palus Portus. It's an F, which is strange, but doesn't mean a thing. It's just Vetera. Where is Vetera? Is there? Okay. So that's a 5. So A, it's a B. Mons Bellona being there. Okay, it's a C. And Diurna, I would say it's a D. No need to roll. Aricia is also a D. This is for the amount of troops that each one can raise, the amount of cohorts and auxiliary troops like archers and light cavalry and all that. Alright, Hasta. Wow, it will be an A as well. So we have 2 A's and a B. Okay, the rest cannot be any higher than a C. Arbea, it's an F. Mauritius Mesem, it's right in the north there. North, yeah, it's north is that way. It's F. Acri Oppidum, it's E. And Chris Ridalis, it's C. Alright. This means let's make the accounting here. Okay, we have a class A that tells us it's 2 to 5. 2 to 5 cohorts, and militia it would be 4. Okay, 2 to 5 I would say it's okay. An A can take 2 plus 1 log. Okay, 3 cohorts. 4 companies makes little sense. And 5 auxilia. We will see the cavalry. This is what it can raise during a season. It's not that it can immediately put all these troops in the field at the same time. Can we will see. Okay, it's 2 cohorts, and we have and 4 auxilia. Okay, the C it's -1, so it cannot be, so 4. It would be a 3 cohorts. And same 3 auxilia. Okay, and now the B 1 to 5 and 3, so that would be 8, 4, so that's 3 cohorts and 4 auxilia. And the Zamasele has 6 cohorts and 2 auxilia. Alright, not bad at all. Let's see Vela Locus, which is going to make different for Caerula Throne, which will be on the A's. It's half, so 1 cohort. This is the and 3 auxilia. A Class A city might bring low amount of troops per season, but might bring increased. The balance is struck by the amount of troops that it can bring per season to the field, and the amount of supplies that it can send out into the field to keep the troops from whatever origin into in the field. Okay, Vetera, it's the -1 for each, so we have a 5. It's 2.5, 3 -1. It's 2 cohorts, and Blue Army is different, and we have a 3 with 2 auxilia. Okay, we have a C 8, 4 -2. It's 2 cohorts. I have to, and yeah, 1 auxilia. It's the bare minimum. Okay, Diurna, it's -3. So we have a 7, 3.5. Okay, 1 cohort. And cohorts can be anything. We will define if it's legionnaires, if it's heavy infantry, medium infantry. And we have 3 auxilia. Okay, Aricia, 3.5. It's 1 cohort, and 3 and 1 auxilia. And Hasta is 2 cohorts and 6 auxilia. Arbea, it's an F, 0 cohorts and 1 auxilia. Okay, 0 cohorts and 1 auxilia. Same in Mauritius Mesem. And on the E we have absolutely 0 cohorts, 2 auxilia. Chris Riddell is -3. Yeah, it's no cohorts. And 3 auxilia. I'm just adjusting as I go for the... Okay, so let's make some math here. 3, 9, 11, 17, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and 9, 12, 14, 18. Right, the unbalance is not that hard. We have an A with only 1 cohort. I will adjust it to 4, so to balance it. Even if we have a A with 2 cohorts and a B, it sounds okay. All right. We have the amount of men per... Yeah, Sylvester uses uses a regular company of 150 and militia of 100. So it would be kind of, if we would call the cohort, would be the regulars and the auxilia would be the militia. Okay. Using a ratio of 5 auxilia to a cohort, but I think 1 to 5 is bad. I will just keep entire units, so the auxilia might be and we have, so for the cohorts we have the legions, the phalanxes, the heavy infantry. For the auxiliaries we would have the medium infantry, which could be barbarians, hired barbarians for example. We have pure mixed missile, light infantry, light cavalry. So this means that the armies can be mixed. I'm thinking if I should actually give some to the blues and to the whites a different type of unit, like cataphracts to the blues and I don't know, some other new unit to the reds, but I'll think about it. Okay. We have to check. This is regarding the delays. Okay, time. Right, we have, yes, we have to check when do we start, when does the campaign start, right? Because it really depends on the months, and Mr. Sylvester gave us a nice weather chart for how we can roll per month a D12 and check what's the weather on that specific week or day or whatever. So we have 12 months. Let me grab a D12. and we can take notes here. So the start of the campaign will be November. Alright, we will start it on the 11th November. Okay. This is when the first aggressive movement starts. There's also a very nice chart for the amount of movement regarding conditions with heat and all that. This is about casualties if they get disease and all that. Okay, town sizes and recruitment. It goes only to E, but F as well. I included it. It's pretty much the 0, but they can have supplies. For example, we have some towns that are mining towns and forester towns. They raise no troops, but they will have supplies. Okay, we have the sample calendar, and we will have to use this regarding the morale. This is not what I want to search. Ah, yes. Who's going to make the first move? That's what we need to think about, right? And let's look at our map. Okay. We know. Okay, we have Caerula Throny, which is the northern region, right? We have the Senate in the middle, and we have in the south we have the Rubrius Regnum guys. Okay, this river cannot be crossed by any of the armies. Well, it shouldn't, and because think it as it would be the Rubicon, right? So how do they get to each other's throats? Because they promised the Republic they would bring the other one to justice. They both are pariahs and outcasts as per ordered by the Senate, but they also promised the Senate they would bring each other to justice. So if they start moving troops, and let's say for example that mobilization order comes from Tergeste and says that everyone has like two different armies, let's say a mobilization in Cannae and a mobilization order also to Arabona. The Cannae troops, I mean, eventually they can cross there, but they cannot, or they shouldn't cross here. I mean, obviously they could enter the Republic seat of power and just say, well, we are dictators now. Hey, Crossing, how's things, man? Hope you had a good Sunday. So that's an idea, and from the south eventually they can move from Arabona, take Portus Sanctus, and then try to move through the forest, the mountains, or try to bypass the river from in another way. Thing is, crossing the Rubicon, and this is not called Rubicon, it's just another name, but the idea is the same. It's a no thing, and immediately they would lose face. And the same thing would happen with the Blues. And the Blues are even in a worse situation, because the only venue to go to Ipsis Briga is the main highway. So how would both armies move to get to each other without losing face in face of the Senate? the blues have a port. Obviously they could try to sail an invasion fleet, right? So they would sail from their port, come down here, take this port, and then move into the red country. That's an option for the blues. The reds are in a worst spot. I mean, they aren't, because in truth the reds don't have a port, and Portus Sanctus is just ripe for the taking. So oh yeah, I think it could go with the naval invasion. It's just that the supply problem would be just dramatic, because you have to think about supplies, and troops suffer the guidelines. If you have to lay siege to a town and all that, we have to think about disease and everything. There will be loss of troops and supplying, because they will be, if the blues go around, right, and say that they would land, they cannot land in the marshes, but they would land somewhere in this bay, which is beaches and all that. They could advance into Zamasale, because this is like the second capital of the Reds. But the thing is, the line of supplies, it's just brutal, and I don't think that that the leader wants to do that. The entire sequence of events has to start somewhere. Who does the first move and when? Who mobilizes first? That would be the question, right? Who gives the order first? I think we will roll a die. We'll roll a d12. And 6 plus the reds mobilize first. Eventually the blues will hear about it sometime after through their spy network. We have a 5. It's a blue. The blues will mobilize first. Okay, first mobilization. It's the blues. Oops, blues. All right. So the blues will mobilize. Oops, sorry. It's this one. And now we have to. Where will they mobilize the troops? Because orders have to be sent on November the 11th. Yeah, I think you have the right mind that the Reds have to go and try to seize that port, because it's another entrance. Yeah, Chris Ridley, you have a town here, man. Look at that. Chris Ridelis. It's a nice, cozy town on the bend of the river. Can't remember what level it is, but I'm not going to check now. Alright, so the blues will mobilize first, and they will start the mobilization on November the 11th. It's a tough month, but they are kind of smart, because if we look at November, where is it? If we look at the weather in November, so we have one possibility of fog, 2 possibilities of snow, but it would depend on the terrain, of course. We have possibility of heavy rain, well, some light rain, but we still have at least 1/3 of fair weather, so it's okay. I mean, it's acceptable. Even if light rain on roads, yeah, the first day is full movement, and it's a quarter less per day of movement as things start to the conditions, continuous bad conditions, are adverse to the troops. I would say the plan, it's twofold. Okay, the Blues will have a mobilization in Asta, and a mobilization in Mons Bellona, because it's kind of hidden, right? And it's out of the way, although the town doesn't have that big of an infrastructure to support a large army. At the moment of the anti-mobilization of the force, they would start on the move and not stay there and consume all resources. Okay, so we'll have another pronged attack, and there I will agree with Ripple, is mobilize a second army in the port and sail not against the Reds, but disembark and take the senatorial port city. I mean, it's kind of that gray area. You are not attacking the seat of the Senate, you are attacking just the port, right? They won't be happy, but you are not infringing any law, because at the moment both parties, until one defeats the other or one actually crosses the Rubicon, yeah, they are both outcasts, but eventually one will trip the wire and will be the culprit, and then the Senate will support the other. So we will have, that plan is good. The Reds will be informed, and how many days after? So we have plan 1, Mons Bellona, and we have plan 2 on Portus Paulus. Oops. Okay. So we have that done, and it makes all sense. That's the 2 plans. Doesn't mean... Okay, now we have to see how the Reds, with their spy network, what will happen. And remember, the mobilization starts in November the 11th. Okay? So now I like this idea of initial mobilization and reaction. And what happens is that the Reds know about mobilization respond to the mobilization of the Blues on the 21st of November. Reds mobilize. This is, hey X, how are you, man? I still haven't named all the generals, but I will do that. We are just at the moment doing the initial calendar. So Blues will start mobilization on the 11th. Blues being Cairo Lathroni, the northern region, and the Reds being Rubri Regnum from Rubri Mons, will know through the spy network that the enemies are mobilizing, and they will start mobilizing on November 21st. Now, we will have to check the blues which plan is has more support or will have more supplies and troops, which would be plan 3, which we don't get. So let us roll again. Okay, plan number 2 will be the priority, which is, strangely enough, the plan that they advanced to mobilize the army here, sail in the winter, and disembark and take the Senate port. I have no idea what general came up with this plan, but it's daring. It's really a daring plan. Okay, we have the now I still have to check the generals, because even if mobilization is given, there's a nice role for each of the generals. Doesn't mean that everything works, and this is the fun part regarding the solo wargaming guide. If you ever played, like, I don't know, those dice chucking games, this is not entirely different. This is just not a rule book or a game. It's just to guide you if you need to make decisions that you can't, you just go and roll. So per general, we will go through if they obey the orders immediately or not. But we will have to have all the generals. Actually, I'm going to do something before we end this, which is how many generals, because we're going to use Dawn of War, and we can have 2 to 3 generals per battle, per army, and I would say that probably we will get 3 different armies, so probably 6 generals. So I will roll d6 plus 1. Oh yeah, definitely, man. Especially, I mean, you can adjust it as you need. Sometimes you just have, for example, if you are playing OCS and you don't know what the Russians gonna do, or if they respond immediately to your thrust, for example, you just use some of the guidelines in the book and you will immediately have a response. How not really the bot, it's you playing the bot or the enemy, but if they respond immediately, if they make a retreat, and if they delay that retreat for 1 turn, and you adjust the guideline as per your rules. And that's the fun part. This is just not a rule set, because you have to resolve the battles how you want and then adjust as you go. And it has some interesting ideas. Okay, we'll have the proconsuls will not fight in the battles, just in the last ditch defense, or maybe we have roll a d6 plus 1 being the proconsul. That's it. So the blues have 2. No, this is silly. Well, it could be. Okay, let's do it again. So proconsul plus a d6 for the blues. So they have 4 generals. Okay, let's make notes there. Blues 1 plus 3 generals. And that being the proconsul, and the reds will have the proconsul plus 4. Alright, Alright, not bad, pretty balanced. And given that generals can be slain in Dawn of War, for example, I just doesn't mean your commanders are all the same. You have inept commanders which are just bloody idiots. You have there's a part which is regarding the sieges. The thing is that one of the things that Sylvester shows, it's how he did many of his campaigns, and he actually kept a diary, and obviously this is throughout the years and doing a lot of, and some units started to get regimental titles and honors, right? I mean, he took it a bit beyond the normal scope. This is about naval. You have mutinies, enlistments. Oh yes, you will also have smallpox, cholera. Regarding the sieges, you have how many days of supplies are left. Okay, but the entire I have to do now the calendar, and this is the part that interests me. It's when they start. Okay, on November the 11th they start the mobilization. Eventually on another episode I will start doing the roles regarding what is the delay regarding obeying orders and start mobilization, because they won't start immediately, right? It takes time for messengers to arrive, and yeah, well, farmers to start to converge to the encampments and start forming up units, and they haven't trained for an entire 2 years. It's pretty much it. I'll have the generals' names during this week, and mock-up of the calendar with delays and everything, and then we will know when things start to happen. Oh yes, another thing, we have to have 2 or more plans from the Reds. And remember, the Reds just knew that the Blues started mobilizing their army. Like, they're up to something, we have to respond. So they have to come up with their own plans. So that's pretty much it. We did about 40 minutes. I don't know if you guys have any theme to talk about. Okay. Just going through the numbers here. So we have 5, 8, 11, 17 cohorts, and 12, 16 and 18 auxilia. And here we have 6, 8, 10, 12. Here we have 12 cohorts. And 24 auxilia. It's not that, and yeah, I should get it, X. Actually, I suggest you check, which does an excellent job, which is the Joy of Wargaming chap. He is on the second campaign using this guide. Second in video, because I know he had a blog that he did several other campaigns using this the system, but he didn't play solo. He played it generating the campaign for his friends to play games against each other and come up with the results. So this is great. I mean, in my opinion, this is what wargaming is about. I don't mind grabbing a box with a game, but then I love open systems like Flying Colors. All right, you can play all the scenarios, but you have all the pieces and you can make up your scenarios, right? So you don't need to. It's like miniatures, right? You paint your army, but you can use whatever rule set you want, really. And this is the same. And I bought Dawn of War because Dawn of War is not a closed system. I can use it with however I want, but it would be the same with some other systems. But I don't know, DBA or whatever, DBM even, and any fantasy, even with just skirmish. Imagine using this wargaming guide, like for example, post-apocalyptic scenario, right, where you have, instead of armies and nations, you have neighborhoods or areas of the city that are controlled by rival gangs, and they deploy small groups of units. Or for example, imagine Escape from LA scenario game, right? You have the troopers and gangs inside the town, so they are the two factions, and both deploy teams to achieve objectives. I mean, you can run it using the guide. It doesn't need to be big armies. You can use it for skirmishes. You just have to adjust to your needs. I mean, it talks regiments and battalions because it's more focused on horse and musket. I'll be using cohorts, which will be the legionnaires, the phalanxes, you know, the professional stuff, and auxiliaries, given Roman times, you know, missile troops, light infantry. Yeah, and if we would be playing chariot era, we would use chariots and camels and all that. So that's pretty much it. I have to write down the name of the channels. And okay, it's not that many. We already have the 2 Pro consoles and we have a 3 and a 4. That would be good. Okay, we know that the blues are the offenders and the reds will have to counter it as soon as they know it, and they have 10 days delay, which 10 days is a lot, but the map it's quite big. Oh yes, how the map works. We have a grid, and this is the amount, this is the distance, it's kind of a 1 centimeter, that foot troops can move in a day. Okay, so it's easy to guess that we will get from here to here probably, I would say, 14 days. So with our calendar we can mark all the days and cross-reference everything, and eventually reach a point where we will have a battle, and that battle will be resolved on the table using Dawn of Battle with the exact units that we have, because the game allows that. I will have amount of legions there, the counters, the baggage trains, everything. And the game is pretty cool. I was playing Leuktra today and was fun. Actually, the Spartans won. I did a couple mistakes, but still learning it second time. And yeah, it's gonna be perfect, and it's wargaming. I love this. I love this hobby. Alright guys, cheers.